Burgess will be sending it down to Seattle to get this underway. Tyler Lockett, one of the most dangerous return players in the league, back second right now in kickoff return yardage average. There he is, averaging over 27 yards per run back. And he's going to step back near the goal line and wait for this kick. Eagles kickoff coverage, they're #1 in the NFL in opponent start position. Their opponents start at the 22-yard line on average. Let's see what happens here as the Eagles at 5-4 kicking away to get it started. It's a deep boot. Rocket will not even think about it. So we'll bring out Russell Wilson. And the Seahawks coming off that win at New England. Russell throwing for 348. That is his best regular season performance of his career. In the last 2 games, as he started to get healthy now, 5 touchdown passes, no picks. They've rebuilt this offensive line. George Fant, former basketball player at Western Kentucky, will start at left tackle now. Once again this week as Sowell remains out. Doug Baldwin, 3-touchdown game at Gillette Stadium last Sunday night. Now in the backfield, they're going to start with Procise, the rookie out of Notre Dame. They have Thomas Rawls back up playing today and dressed. And here's a quick throw over to Procise, who is maybe able to get back to the line of scrimmage. Let's meet the Jim Schwartz-led defense. This defense has actually held 3 teams this year to their lowest season output: Pittsburgh, Minnesota, and Atlanta as far as point totals. And they've got McKelvin up and ready to go, one of the corner spots. Carroll on the other side. So the 6-2-1 Seahawks come out and try to get it in the arms of Curse. Pass a little bit behind him. Russell Wilson, though, starting to look like the player we know all and well after being really gimpy the first part of the season, Phil.
That's right, being healthy. He showed everybody, Jim, that it's not about his running. If he can't run, he can still beat you throwing the football. What did Jim Schwartz, the defensive coordinator for the Eagles, tell us last night? I'd like to play him about 3 weeks ago when he couldn't move. Now he's healthy, so all the read options and his scrambling's in play.
3rd and 10. Looking to throw it for the 3rd straight play, and he's going to take off with it instead. And he's going to be stopped about 3 yards short of the first as Connor Barwin was able to chase him down. So a 3 and out, and the Eagles' decision to defer looks like a good one here at the start.
Well, some of the problems, here we go. Not 1, but 2 people make Russell Wilson step up in the pocket. That's what you want to do. Make him go forward. Don't let him escape outside, because then he'll reset and throw the football down the field and hit those big plays against you.
6th straight game, the Eagles have forced their opponent to an opening drive punt. John Ryan boots it, and Sproles signaling fair catch at the 22. So Carson Wentz coming out now and making his 10th starter since day 1. That is a rookie quarterback record for this franchise. They've lost 4 consecutive road games. Here's his line. Of course, Peter's well decorated. Barber played for the Seahawks here in 2010 and 2011. Matthews over 100 against Atlanta, including a couple of touchdowns. So the last road game at the Giants, Wentz threw picks on each of the first 2 drives. Anxious to get off to a good start here in Seattle. Quick throw on the money, and the catch is made by Burton out to about the 38 for 16. Give him 14 actually. Trey Burton with the catch.
Trey Burton, good tight end. The 3rd tight end, really. They play 3 tight ends. They play all the running backs, and he got man-to-man coverage outside against Deshaun Shedd. And good throw, good start. Carson Wentz.
Chancellor's trying to stretch out that right leg. He was in on the tackle. And a strong safety for Seattle helped to his feet. Step aside. Chancellor's going to sit out a play, and Kelsey McCray comes in for him. 1st and 10, Philadelphia. 2nd snap after picking up 14 on its first play. And it's Matthews riding up the middle. And he's got a nice gain into the arms of Averill. And Chancellor's going to come right back onto the field. Here's how Chancellor got hurt.
Yeah, watch number 31. Watch his helmet as he goes in and make the tackle in good position. But Burton lowered his head and hit him. I thought when he walked off the field, he should have been checked.
He killed it.
2nd and 5 from the 42. And this place is rocking already. And there's movement on the left side.
Number 71, offense. 5-yard penalty. Remains second down.
So Peters flagged for that. Doesn't matter how hard you try to simulate it in practice all week long, the crowd noise, there's nothing quite like the real thing here.
Well, that's right. They tried to do it with loud going inside, turning the music up. They did all that. We even saw before the game Carson Wentz took his helmet off and had him adjust the volume of the speaker that's inside his helmet where he gets the plays, and he told him, turn it up. Need more volume because this crowd is loud and they got great endurance.
And you saw Doug Peterson coming back to the Seattle area where he lived during his youth. 2nd and 10. And a pass thrown at the feet of Ertz. And it does draw a flag.
Pass interference. Number 25, defense. Automatic. First down.
Doug Peterson raised about 100 miles north of Seattle in Ferndale, where he was an all-state football player. His family, season ticket holders from the very first year. He used to come down with his dad every Sunday. So many fond memories coming back here to Seattle, sharing the experience, being a rabid Seahawk fan. Jim Zorn, Largent, and Kenny Easley, those were his guys. 1st and 10.
How about that to come back here and coach one day against the Seahawks? Pretty cool.
Wentz wide of his target that time. Trying to go back to Ertz. All right, the Seattle defense allowing the 2nd fewest points per game. There's Clark in for Bennett, who is again out this week. Clark has been having a fine season. Wagner, who leads the league in tackles. And then right across the line, Sherman, Chancellor, who's back out there, Thomas, and Shed. Decorated secondary. Wendell Smallwood now into the backfield for Philly. 2nd and 10. Coming after Wentz. And he's out of the pocket, so he just throws it into the ground. That was Tony McDaniel, who was chasing after him.
Well, you always got to be ready when you play the Eagles for all the misdirection and the camouflage, you would say, for their offense. A lot of motions, a lot of window dressing, and they love to throw screens, and Seattle that time was ready. And it's a good thing to do, too, Jim. Hear the crowd noise, young quarterback, let the game settle down, be careful with the football.
And let's see what he does on 3rd and 10. Well protected for a while. Able to get away from Clark. And now tosses it away. Incomplete.
Well, down the field, they do a good job. Zach Ertz gets a nice hit, but really nobody open down the field, and that's one of the problems the Eagles have had this year. Wide receivers. Can you get some separation? Richard Sherman all over Dorial Green-Beckham.
So Donnie Jones with a new contract. He comes out. The Eagles extending contracts for 3 players this week.
Special teamers.
Yep, the long snapper here. Dornbos, Chris Maragos, the former Seahawk, and the punter Donnie Jones. And it's going to be a touchback. Seattle out to the 20, just another 35. As each team's had it once.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by Southwest. Yes to low fares with nothing to hide. That's transparency. PayPal, a better way to pay is here. PayPal is new money. And by Voya Financial, changing the way you think of retirement.
Views from the Space Needle in this gorgeous city of Seattle. The Seahawks now 2nd possession starting at the 20. And there's Poseiss wrapped up at the 28 by McLeod. Pete Carroll today with a victory would achieve regular season victory number 100. And trust me, that is not a concern on his part.
Oh, I thought he was pretty excited about it.
Yeah.
You brought it up to him. He goes, really?
Really?
Huh?
Yeah.
What? Said, Pete, you going to save that football if you win your 100? And he looked at me and goes, yeah, sure. Yeah,
I'm going to lose a lot of sleep over that.
Let's see, he's won
Reaching that
Super
milestone.
Bowls,
Yeah.
national championships in college. He's only worried about one thing, his football team today.
2nd and 2. And Procise with a nice wiggle, and he takes off down the sideline. It's a chase. McLeod will not get there. No flag. 72 yards.
Well, we talk a lot about this offensive line, that they have to hold their end up of the bargain, and they do a really good job. Doug Baldwin, 89, comes across, gets a block, and Gary Gilliam, the right tackle, they just push it down, open up the hole, and Procise, wide receiver at Notre Dame, turn running back. They were so excited to get him back in action. We saw it last week. How about that speed, Jim Nance?
Well, it was the development of Procise that actually made them come to the conclusion on Tuesday this past week to cut Christine Michael, which shocked a lot of people across the league because he was leading the Seahawks in rushing on the season. But they knew Rawls was coming back, and they saw what Procise in his ability was.
Well, gives him another weapon, speed, and he can really catch the football out of the backfield.
Extra point, and that's the 10th of the day missed across the league. It's blocked. And Hauschka, and that's the 4th missed PAT of the year. See, yep. And all 4 of his misses have been by the result of a block. That was Logan who blocked it. Actually, that was the 11th missed extra point because just a few moments ago, Stephen Gostowski missed an extra point down in San Francisco after a New England touchdown. There were 9 in the early window today, missed PATs, and now we're up to 11.
It's an epidemic. It's unbelievable. They're blocking them, but the field of these kickers, we talked about a lot this year. It's in their head.
Procise with Seattle's longest play of the year. And that goes through the back of the end zone, and this is the longest run ever in this stadium, 72 yards.
Well, a couple things. Here's Jalen Watkins. Here's Jalen Mills. So we got 2 defensive backs in charge of stopping this run. They wash it down inside. Doug Baldwin gets a great block. Look at that as he knocks down Watkins into the inside. And then Procise, you said it, the running back situation here, very strong. Pete Carroll said to us walking out of the room, man, I can't wait to see our running backs tomorrow and how they're going to perform. Well, pretty good start by the running back crew.
Well, they had 5 games already this year where they didn't even have 72 yards rushing for a game. And they got it on that one play. And again, they have Rawls back in uniform. We'll be seeing him today. As Matthews with an opening and a nice gainer. Look at Jason Kelsey help open things up on that left side. The center moving around and clearing the way for 18.
Yeah, Jason Kelsey, but also watch Barber, 76, gets out in the back, gets up to the linebackers, helps out. Philadelphia, of course, anytime you play a game away from home, any game in the NFL, you want to run the football well. And they're 8th in the league in rushing the football.
They've got Kenyon Barner now in the backfield. Going to give it to him and go right back to that left side for another good gain. Give him 11. Pushed out by Thomas. Be the first to know your team's news with the CBS Sports app. Instant updates, expert analysis, highlights. Download the CBS Sports app today.
Man, a lot of movement by the offensive line. That time they said, well, they gave it to Brandon Brooks and Vaitai. I'm not going to try to say his first name, but excellent job of pulling around and making a block. I thought maybe you'd want to say his first name.
Bola Poli Vata.
All right, very good.
I'll leave it to you next time.
Yeah, okay.
The right tackle, number 72, we're speaking of. Now from the Seattle side of the field. Wentz gets the feet planted, going for the deep ball. Double coverage down here. And it's incomplete. Trying to hit Bryce Treggs.
Yep.
Right between Lane and Thomas.
Yep, trying to get behind Earl Thomas. Pretty hard to do. Diagnoses it. And the thing about Earl Thomas, as you watch Treggs go down the field, he is the fastest safety, I think, in the NFL. Look how quick he got in position and just misjudged it. Almost had both hands on it to get the interception. And Wentz really underthrows this football, too. Could have thrown another 5 yards maybe into the end zone. Gave his receiver a better chance.
Here's a 2nd and 10. Give to Matthews, and he is shoved back by K.J. Wright and company. Maybe picked up a yard. All right, Tracy, let's check in with you.
Well, just one update from the Seahawks sideline. They are playing right now without cornerback Deshaun Shedd. He is on the training table getting his left hamstring worked on, Jim.
Well, we saw Lane in on that coverage. Thank you, Trace. There's Shedd, 5th-year player out of Portland State. Lane in for him. 3rd and 9 for Wentz and the Eagles from the Seattle 45. And there's going to be a timeout called here by the Eagles. Interesting how much you talk to Wentz about whether or not he should come out and use a glove or not in these wet conditions. As Tracy reported, he never played in a rain game.
It's unbelievable. North Dakota State never in the rain, so pretty fortunate for that.
So what have you seen the way he's throwing the football here early?
He's missed a couple. That was underthrown a little, but anytime you talk about throwing the football 50 yards down the field, you're not going to be dead on accurate. But he's missed a couple throws high, and his motion, maybe the rain, whatever, got a pretty big motion. Something I think he's got to change as the offseason comes. But when he misses, it's almost always high, not low.
3rd and 9. They pick up the... Oh, no, it gets to him. They smother him. Not a chance to get a second look around. Bobby Wagner comes bull rushing at the end. Looked like for a moment they might have it sealed.
Well, it's a shame he probably didn't get a chance to throw. They had Nelson Aguilar across the field wide open. And one thing they've been doing more on the defensive side, Seattle has been blitzing Bobby Wagner. And, of course, he loves it. And he just overpowers blockers, especially if it's a running back or a tight end trying to block him.
Jason Peters was, well, there he is, slow to make it to the sideline. Their left tackle. 8-time Pro Bowler. Here's Jones, who came into the league as a draft pick years ago by Seattle, and he's now got 2 punts into the end zone. Just a net of 34 this time.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by TD Ameritrade. And by Bud Light. Beer with your team on it.
And that's Seahawks long snapper Nolan Freeze recently visiting Parkside Elementary in Des Moines, Washington, to encourage kids to stay healthy. Play 60. Here is Wilson with the completion to Jimmy Graham. And he's out to the 25. Graham, different looking player than the one we saw in his first year at Seattle a year ago.
Well, they have found out how he's gotten used to Russell Wilson. I think he's a better fit for this offense now. It's not all about Marshawn Lynch. And at practice on Friday, he ran by me, and I just, wow, of course, he's a big man, but look how much leaner he is than the days we saw him down in New Orleans. It's made him faster, I think, when you watch him in practice or when you watch him in games.
He's already had 3 100-yard games, including a couple touchdowns in their last home game against Buffalo. 2nd and 5. Toss to Procise, and this time they're going to set him back about 6.
Well, going into this game, you and I, we talk a lot about the game. What do we expect? How's one team going to win? And all these different type of scenarios. But I think for the Philadelphia Eagles, their defensive front going against a young offensive line that has struggled at times, this Philly defensive line has to dominate and give this team every chance to win with their talent up front.
You boil it down really to that. The Philly front seven.
They got to do it.
Has to come up big for the Eagles to win this game.
And, you know, it's the front seven that plays, but they have great depth along the defensive line.
3rd and 11. Back at the 19. One-on-one coverage over here. And there is no flag. That was Mills on the coverage of Richardson.
Jalen Mills not afraid to mix it up. The rookie. Richardson maybe the fastest receiver on the team. It's a no call, and it's a good call. No pass interference there. That time they came after Russell Wilson. They blitzed, put the pressure on the corners to cover.
So Ryan's first punt traveled 46 yards. Not a deep kick, nowhere near Sproles. But a favorable bounce down to about the 32. That's a 50-yard boot. It's 6-0 Seattle on a 72-yard gallop by Procise. We saw Jason Peters shaken up. He was taken to the locker room. Sayamalo now comes into that offensive line. Wisniewski's in there as well. They move Barber over to left tackle for their 3rd drive of this opening quarter. Matthews, again heavy traffic, maybe a loss of 1. Let's get the report from Tracy.
Well, Jim, you mentioned Jason Peters. He actually went directly to the X-ray room. I was told it is a forearm injury. They are having X-rays done as we speak. As soon as I get any information, I will bring it to you.
So they move some players around, Tracy. They move Barber over to left tackle from left guard. Wisniewski takes his place at left guard.
Well, that's where Wisniewski has played. Barber was hurt.
Second and 11. Big play action. And the toss complete over to Ertz. And Chancellor takes him out of bounds. Tomorrow on CBS, will Kevin's love of food bring him new success? It's an all-new episode of TV's #1 new comedy. Kevin can wait tomorrow, 8, 7 Central, only CBS.
Well, you can see Doug Peterson doing a good job here early, trying to move his quarterback around, especially on 1st and 2nd down. But the Seattle defense knows sooner or later it's going to be 3rd and 5, and now they can unleash that pass rush.
Need to get to the 42 for the first. 3rd and a long 4. And it's pulled in by Green Beckham. Tough catch.
Tough catch. Really good throw. Throw it high. Your guy is much bigger than Nico Thorpe, who's covering him. Nico Thorpe actually falls down, and Cam Chancellor, Earl Thomas, big and fast. Well, Cam Chancellor, big and fast, hard hitter.
11-yard pickup with the first down at the Philly 49. And the toss to Smallwood. And the rookie from West Virginia held to only 1. Carson Wentz, the 2nd overall pick, just as Donovan McNabb was back for this franchise in 1999. Won his first 3 games, became the first rookie quarterback ever to start his first 3 games and have at least 1 touchdown pass with no picks in each of those 3, and he won them all. 2 and 4 over the last 6.
Yeah, it's not him, Jim. It's just really the offense. A young quarterback, there's only so much you can do. Teams have adjusted. It's made it tough for these last 6 games.
2nd and 9. Waiting for something to open up. And we got a flag out as Sproles is able to grab it for a short gain. Yeah, this record, 2 and 4, since that 3-0 start, this marks the 5th road game out of their last 7.
No foul for holding on the play. 3rd down.
They pick up the flag. That's a 6-yard completion to Sproles. Yeah, 5 out of 7 as of today on the road, but they'll close out the year with 4 home games in their last 6. And they haven't lost at home this year.
Yeah, they've been tough at home. We were there for one when they completely dominated the Pittsburgh Steelers. Beat the Atlanta Falcons at home.
4-0 overall at home. 3rd and 3. Oh, did Burton catch it? Oh, he got a flag out. Burton had to tap it around. Try to give himself a chance to make the catch.
Well, it could be against the offense, not sure. A play that everybody's been running against the Seattle defense, trying to, when they get up on the line of scrimmage and try to play tight man-to-man, they are running pick plays against them.
Carl Cheffers and the crew trying to sort it out. They picked up a flag on the previous play.
It really
Fouls by both teams on the play. Holding, number 50, defense. Pass interference, number 47, offense. Those fouls offset. Repeat 3rd down.
So we'll go back and play 3rd and 3 all over again.
Let's watch the outside. Trey Burton's trying to pick 50 KJ Wright. So he gets that called, and KJ Wright was holding Darren Sproles.
Both teams have been penalized a bunch this season. Philadelphia second most in the league to the Raiders. Go back and try to pick up the first down here. On 3rd down, Smallwood able to bounce off a hit, pick up 4 and the first.
Wow. Formation. They're doing a lot of formations, condensing them, making it tough. Kind of makes the defense simplify and back off. But how about Richard Sherman? He's back here. Watch him fly up here and look, one of the best cover corners in the NFL, but also a strong tackler too.
But Smallwood took that hit, absorbed it, and still fought for the yardage and made it by a yard. Give him a new set of downs at the 40. Now here comes Sproles, cutting quickly to the left. And he's got a gain of 7, and we've got an update from JB and Tony G.
And the update involves New England.
Yeah, New England. Tom Brady's going to fake right, throw left, sets the screen up. James Wright's going to do the rest. He had a 9-yard touchdown. Tom Brady 6 of 7, 48 yards, 2 touchdowns, 13-3. New England is up on San Francisco.
Back to Jim Nantz, Phil Simms, and Tracy Wolfson.
All right, guys. Tom Brady playing in his hometown for the first time in his career. Raised about 20 minutes away in San Mateo. Now here's the handoff to Matthews near the first down yardage.
Well, that was a key breaker that time. They decided, well, sooner or later we got to run the ball up the middle. Most of the runs have been outside. Clever, a lot of disguise, a lot of movement like we talked about with this Philadelphia offense. But when you got guys like Ataba Rubin inside, Tony McDaniel, hard to move them around and find ways to get yards in a running game.
They're going to measure for the first. Wentz has been making quite an appeal to Cheffers over something. So 3rd down and inches. They've already converted twice on this drive on 3rd down.
Well, Doug Peterson, too, knows the situation. And one thing I've noticed in his short head coaching career, not afraid to take a chance, go for it on 4th down either.
Sneak for the first. Wentz picked up a couple.
Wow, that was close. It almost looked like they moved early. Couldn't tell. Wisniewski left guard, but he gets away with it. Watch number 61.
Oh, it's definitely moving early.
That early movement's why they got the first down. He got the block before the other guys were ready.
4 different running backs, and now the quarterback have all had rushes in this opening quarter.
A little unbalanced line this time.
Matthews tried to deliver the stiff arm on Lane. Gain of 1. And let's take a look from our nationwide Skycam. As you see, Matthews heading back to the huddle, and the Eagles putting together a nice little drive that's lasted over 6 minutes.
Well, that's what you want to do, is try to quiet the crowd, settle your football team down. What they've done so far, keeping the situations in their favor, and all the movement, different formations, makes the defense think a little and not as aggressive.
Stepping up, away from the heat. Wentz gets it away. He's got the completion to Selleck. And Sherman trying to hold on to him before the help arrives. He's tackled at the 9, a gain of 19.
Here he goes up the field. Pass protection so good. Ertz is allowed to stop and go back. Selleck is allowed to stop and go back outside.
That closes out the first quarter. 6-0 Seattle. You're watching the NFL on CBS. Carson Wentz 4 for 4 on this drive that has lasted almost 7 minutes. Began back at the Eagles 32. And they'll take the first snap of this second quarter from the Seattle 9. Down 6-0. Jim Nance, Phil Simms, Tracy Wolfson. Lance Barrow producing, Mike Arnold directing, the whole crew happy to be here in Seattle. And the first play of the quarter, a handoff to Matthews to the 5.
Really good job blocking inside. Wisniewski gets a good block, and losing Jason Peters. Good adjustment. Guys come in, getting the job done on this drive.
You can see Matthews really hobbling, but he stays in for this next snap from the 5. 3 tight ends, and they load him up on the left side. 2nd and goal. Completes it, and reaching across is Ertz. Heads up play, Ertz breaks the plane for the touchdown.
Well, it's what you do, Jim. One of the things that you like, condense the formation or put a bunch of receivers together. That's what they did. And he definitely gets across the goal line. Ertz went outside. They were trying to throw a double move inside to Selleck. He was covered. The second read was to go back out to Ertz, and he was open for the touchdown.
Boy, Ertz has been coming on the last couple of weeks. He had 14 catches in the 2 games coming in. He was held out of practice on Thursday because he felt some tightness in his hamstring. But he makes quite a play right there for the touchdown. Extra point is good by Sturgis, and the Eagles are up by 1. Carson Wentz with his first touchdown pass in 3 games. Ertz. The 3rd annual Art Rooney Sportsmanship Award honors NFL players who exemplify outstanding sportsmanship on the field. Each team nominates 1 player. A panel of NFL legends will select 8 finalists, with the winner being decided by a vote of current NFL players and announced at the NFL Honors Award Show February 4th. Darren Sproles, Tyler Lockett, they're the ones nominated by their teams for this year's award. That drive by the Eagles took over a half a quarter, Phil. 7:35 to go to 68 yards.
Yeah, impressive drive by the players, the offensive line. Really good drive for the coaches, too. Well thought out plan.
Yeah, their longest drive of the season by time. And look at them cover up the kick. We mentioned earlier about how they're the best in the league at starting position, opponent starting position, and they pin him back inside the 10 as Jalen Watkins is there to bring down Lockett.
Well, Jim, let's go back and watch the touchdown. They want to throw it to Selleck here in the back of the end zone with the double move, but Ertz goes outside, comes back inside, and as you watch it, the double move's not open. The fake outside does a good job of getting away from Cam Chancellor. The redirect and a perfect throw by Carson Wentz.
Thomas Rawls is in the backfield. He was in on one previous snap. They fake it to him. Throwing on the run. Complete over to Curse. 12-yard gain.
I think you can even see, we've seen Russell Wilson scramble one time, did not get the first down. But the fact that he played that period of games, and Pete Carroll was talking about it yesterday, going like it's incredible that he stayed in, never missed a practice rep, and didn't miss a rep in a game either. So MCL, hurt his knee, hurt ankle, first game of the year.
And after him, he has to unload it. Oh, whistles first, though. Going to have a pre-snap penalty,
5-yard penalty, first down.
On Seattle. Yeah, injured the ankle week 1 here against Miami, and then hurt that knee against San Francisco a few weeks later. And he used to be quite a threat, not only throwing the football, but running the football.
Yeah.
Been non-existent as a runner this year, although you're starting to see here in the last week and a half.
Well, that's what Pete Carroll told us. He's like, listen, that's a big part of our game. It's a big threat. It changes defenses when they think Russell Wilson might fake the run and keep the ball himself.
Got a 1st and 15. And over to Rawls, and that was, well, they could not possibly rule that a catch.
No, it's not a catch.
So it's incomplete.
Good reaction by Nolan Carroll. He did not go outside with the release of the wide receiver. He read the play all the way. He saw the offensive lineman pulling out, so he let the receiver go, came back in there and made the play.
Well, they were
Good job.
slow to call it on the field. The Eagles actually thought they'd come away with something. But an incompletion and a 2nd and 15 from the 15. Prosai split wide to the right. They're at the top. And again, the whistle as they come crashing in on Wilson.
Oh, how about that blitz?
False start, number 63, offense. 5-yard penalty, second down.
And Jim Schwartz, defensive coordinator, we talked to him last night. I love what he said. I thought you got this elaborate plan on what to do to Russell Wilson. He goes, no, we're just going to go. We're not, look, and if you play zones, you're always watching the quarterback, but he wants his pass rushers to be free, and he goes, every once in a while I might put man-to-man against Russell Wilson. In other words, the 5th guy will just rush the quarterback and watch him the whole time. Pretty interesting and smart plan by Jim Schwartz, who's not afraid to be aggressive on the defensive side as a coordinator, that's for sure.
Second pre-snap penalty on Seattle on this drive. 2nd and 20. First is left alone. And he gets a big chunk out to about the 27. Gain of 17.
Yeah, not much Nolan Carroll can do. It's you against Jermaine Kearse, and you got to honor the speed because Seattle, they love throwing the football deep. This offense, yes, it used to be, like I said earlier, the run Marshawn Lynch were a power offense, but now it's about the skill of all these receivers and Russell Wilson.
3rd and 3. It's a first down catch by Graham. Needed 3, picked up 6.
Yeah, not bad. You split him all the way to the top of the screen. You got to honor it. You're worried about the inside receiver getting in your way. Well, this Seattle offense, though, it's really it's amazing how much it's changed when you watch it these last few weeks.
Make the Rawls. One long with a flag out. And that was the first time Baldwin had been targeted in this game. And Wilson feels pretty comfortable this is going to be a defensive holding call as they jam Baldwin near midfield.
Prior to the pass, holding, number 27 defense, 5-yard penalty, automatic first down.
That was on Malcolm Jenkins.
Yeah, Malcolm Jenkins in the slot, number 27. Just a good route by Doug Baldwin. Even though Jenkins had inside help, he still went for the fake. That's why he reached out and grabbed him. How about Doug Baldwin? When you look at him, just
putting up numbers that a lot of people are unaware of.
Yeah, I mean, he's one of the elite receivers in the NFL, and nobody, including us, you just don't think about throwing his name out there as you do the other guys.
There's the first running play for Rawls. He's been waiting for that since week 2. He picks up 9.
Well, that was an excited run, wasn't it? And I think the crowd reacts to Thomas Rawls being back in that lineup. And Friday at practice, he was going 1,000 miles an hour, and Pete Carroll said, I just got to tell him that we're not going to be able to gain 1,000 yards in one game here. So take your time and, work your way back into this. But high-strung, emotional, big part of this offense.
2nd and 1. And he got hit early, was able to still fight for the first down yardage, and they'll move the chains again.
Yeah, that's Bradham that gets the tackle, and boy, he eludes the block of Will Tukuafu. Tukuafu, sorry. Number 46 goes through there and misses him. I'll get out of the way, too. I was watching a game earlier a couple years ago, and, of course, Tukuafu was playing defensive tackle for the Seattle Seahawks. He still does occasionally.
There's the first down. Carried. Look at Rawls make the cut to the outside. He saw an opening. Think he brings some energy to this offense? That's 18.
Well, that was a good slow read by him. And Lockett on the outside. Everybody crushes their blockers down inside. Thomas Rawls reads it right. It breaks out there, tough to bring down. George Fant's down on the sideline, left tackle.
Boy, they can't afford to lose another left tackle with Sowell already inactive and out for the 4th game in a row. Timeout on the field.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by Disney's Moana, in theaters in 3D this Wednesday. Auto Trader. Find your perfect new, used, or certified car on Auto Trader. And by K Jewelers. For 100 years, every kiss begins with K.
So George Fant was injured on that last play. Reese Odiombo has come in now at left tackle. Rookie 3rd-round pick out of Boise State. Already picking up 5 first downs on this drive. Gets another 3 by Rawls.
Good first play by Odiombo at left tackle. Blocked Connor Barwin and helped him pick up 4 or 5 yards there. 3 yards.
Odiombo, though, a high pick, but it was the undrafted former basketball player, Fant, who's been getting time in Sowell's absence at left tackle. 2nd and 7, and able to just get 2 out of that. Cox is the bottom of that tackle. Gain of 1. Tracy, let's get the update on the injury.
Well, Jim, no real update right now. It just seems like they're taking him to the locker room for further evaluation. I was watching him. He seemed like he couldn't catch his breath. As soon as the Seahawks bring it to me, I will let you know. But one update on Ryan Matthews. He is in the locker room as well. He is dealing with a knee injury, and his return is questionable. And as for left tackle Jason Peters, he has been cleared after having x-rays on that left leg.
Okay, here's a completion to Lockett. And trying to stretch it out with a flag out. He's inside the 5.
Yeah, that's going to be a big play for sure. On the outside, Malcolm Jenkins gets picked by Jermaine Kearse.
Number 15 offense, 10-yard penalty, repeat 3rd down.
Yeah, you can see it on that one. That wipes out the 27-yard play.
Yeah, just watch it coming from the inside, and that's more than 1 yard down the field, and it's not looking for the football, didn't fake it, like turn to the quarterback with your hands out. That's how you get away with it, so bad acting.
3rd penalty against the Seahawks offense on this drive. And instead of being inside the 5, they are back at the 40. For 3rd and 16. Flag at the line of scrimmage. Down the middle to go, and it's incomplete.
Well, they're going to call offsides.
Offside, number 55 defense, 5-yard penalty, repeat third down.
And one of the reasons why Wilson took the shot down the field, he knew it.
Yeah, he saw the flag come out. Brandon Graham did. I thought he just stayed in the same spot, but he did go forward. He was in the neutral zone. And all these quarterbacks in the league, Jim, right, they're all trained. They see that flag go up and it's an offsides or whatever. They look for the deep shot.
Yeah, go for the home run ball. 3rd and 11. That penalty, if nothing else, put him in the field goal range. Wilson brings in, and it is caught. Graham got away. Graham to the end zone for the touchdown. Just when it looked like the Eagles had that play contained, they had Wilson, it looked like for a while, running out of options. And then it looked like they had Graham after the catch. It ends up with a Seattle touchdown.
Top of your screen, 88, watch it. He sees Russell scramble, he moves. What a throw by Russell Wilson. Full speed to his left and just gives Jimmy Graham a chance to catch the ball. Jalen Watkins on the coverage. And the coverage was great, but not strong enough to bring down Jimmy Graham after he catches it. Make Russell Wilson step forward. Not once he gets outside to the corners, you're in trouble.
His extra point this time is good. The 92-yard drive ties the longest of the season for Seattle. And Graham dismisses that tackle attempt like it was nothing. Seattle, that drive, escaped 3 offensive penalties, escaped the 2nd and 20, a 3rd and 16, and then Jimmy Graham escaped the tackle attempt by Watkins.
And Russell Wilson escaped out of the pocket.
Yes, he did.
A lot of escapes there, but a lot of guys to look at now in the Seattle offense that you got to worry about.
Hauschka, low liner, not returnable.
Russell Wilson feeling better, Jim. You said it. He shows it. Next gen stats. Against the Patriots, he moves out of the pocket, gets a touchdown. Look at weeks 1 through 8. Only 11% of the time did he. And then the last 2 weeks, 22% of the time. So doubled the amount of movement outside the pocket. Here he is, breaking to his left. He loves going to his left, and what a little flick. Man, being an ex-baseball player, that's when it comes in handy. Throws like that. He can use that wrist, throws it like a baseball, and somehow got enough power running full speed to his left to get it to Jimmy Graham.
Smallwood tackled down after a gain of 3. Peters is back out there after that x-ray came back negative. Arkansas, Missouri Friday. We got some holiday festivities for you. And Saturday, it's the game that needs no introduction. Auburn and Alabama. The SEC on CBS. 2nd and 8. That's Ertz. And that's Wagner bringing them down all the way out at the 40.
Yeah, nice play. Ertz just kind of goes across the middle, stops over the middle, breaks it back out. Well-designed play, easy read for Carson Wentz. He can look anywhere he wants because that's the guy he wants to throw the football to. And when you play against this defense, don't stare at the target too long because they react pretty fast to the quarterback's eyes.
First down, Wentz. And that's a 7th straight completion, albeit a short one to Jordan Matthews. Give him about 3.
This is what this Philadelphia offense is, what we're seeing is formations, screens, get rid of the football quick, and then run the football too, which they've done well this year. 3 strikes, a lot of green after that.
Second and 6. Smallwood. Oh, a quick hit on him by Wagner. And let's get the quick update. Back to James Brown and Tony.
San Francisco has narrowed the gap.
Yes, they are. They're sticking around. You're going to see Colin Kaepernick take this ball and pass it to Vance McDonald for the 18-yard touchdown. Cap 7 of 8, 112 yards, and that touchdown, 13-10. New England is up.
That will create some enthusiasm. Back to Jim Nance.
The Patriots were so hoping to be on that field last February 7th for Super Bowl 50, but got knocked out by Denver in the AFC title game. You saw the standings in the NFC West. Wentz fakes left and goes back to Ertz. And Ertz has a blocker out in front. Look at this speed. Ertz down to the 10, cut back to the end zone with a flag out.
Back at the line of scrimmage, there's a flag. What a well-designed play. And the blocking down the field was awesome.
Illegal formation. Offense. Both receivers were off the line of scrimmage. 5-yard penalty. Repeat third down.
Well, it was a great formation, tremendous play, well thought out. But up to the top, nobody's covering the left tackle. Everybody's off the line of scrimmage is what they're saying. So they got to call that penalty.
How much does a penalty like that, an infraction like that, really throw off the defense? Or is it just one of those little penalties that part of the rule book?
If that would have been, if it had been the tight end side, they would not have called it. They give latitude to the wide receiver to the tight end side, but not when it's to the tackle, Jim. So it was a half a yard, but it was a half a yard too much. Right call. 3rd and 11 takes away a 57-yard touchdown as Wentz is able to get it away. He was hit when he threw it. The rule is, just to go back to it because it was such a big play, because it's the tackle, the open side tackle, they're very tough on the receiver to get on the line of scrimmage. On the other side, if the tight end is there, all they say, you have to be off the line of scrimmage, and then the word is a blade of grass. That's how close it could be. Boy, Doug Peterson was pretty calm after that penalty, wasn't he? He sure was. Had a little chat with Jordan Matthews, but no histrionics. And a fair catch made by Lockett at the 23. 39-yard punt. And Seattle leads it. 5.5 to go, second quarter.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by AARP, Real Possibilities. And by FedEx, helping small businesses simplify e-commerce.
We're back with the Seattle offense taking over to the 23. And Wilson going up top to Baldwin, who got behind the secondary, and his first catch of the game is a big one.
Caught him in the right defense. There was no center fielder, and that tight split by Doug Baldwin. So Jalen Mills is to the outside. Jordan Matthews was not threatened by a receiver, but by the time he determines to turn and run, it's too late.
That's a 44-yard gain to Doug Baldwin.
And they got that coverage because of the formation, the way Baldwin lined up. It made him play the other way, gave him a big alley to run into.
Wilson down the field again. Got an open player at the 10. Stretching out for it. The ball comes out. And they're going to mark him inside of the 3. Tyler Lockett for 31.
Really simple play. Sells the play action. And does Tyler Lockett make it?
Well, he was out of bounds. His foot was out.
Well, he better hope he's out.
Really
Otherwise,
on
it'll
field
be a
as the
touchdown.
runner is out of bounds at the 3-yard line before any possession was lost. First down and goal.
So let's look at it. If he's not out of bounds, Jim, this would be a touchback.
Yeah, definitely saw the foot out before he stretched it out.
Yep, very clear.
Still, it's down to the 3-yard line. And the handoff smothered up right at the line of scrimmage. That was Rawls with the carry.
Well, we're seeing it all from this Seattle offense, aren't we? It's the deep play action pass, using Doug Baldwin, formations. All what they're doing, too, helps protect a young offensive line, which you said, where's the weak spot in their football team? Right now, it's the offensive line.
2nd and goal. And Wilson lobs it out of bounds.
He's one of the best in the NFL when it comes to just that. Throwing the football away, getting rid of negative plays. Line breaks down. He's going to get hit. Instead of taking a sack, he just heaves it out of bounds.
Not going to make any silly mistakes. His touchdown to interception ratio is one of the best of all time.
Look, he's disciplined as they come, smart. And, of course, the overriding factor in my eyes is the talent.
3rd and goal. Forsythe comes back into the backfield. Pass to Curse. Incomplete.
A lot of motion, a lot of looks, all to try to get the defense to confuse them so they could throw that one-on-one to the backside. Curse against Nolan Carroll, and watch this quick read by Carroll. Goes inside. He's looking for the interception. So they got 3 receivers to the right. They put Forsythe in motion. Russell Wilson was going to attack that one-on-one.
Now they're going to go field goal with Hauschka from 21. Ryan, the holder, frees to snap it back. And that kick is good. To go up 16-7. With NFL Mobile, stream live local Sunday afternoon, primetime games, and NFL Red Zone right on your mobile device. Learn more at NFL.com/mobile.
Well, the Seahawks offense, pretty exciting to watch. Philadelphia on the other side, they've done a good job on the offensive side too. Big mistake, of course, cost them a touchdown.
Hauschka always so methodical in his setup for every kick. He's been driving these to the back of the end zone and beyond. So that touchdown that was called back, Doug Peterson saw it coming before the snap.
Really alerted the officials.
Look at the top. Trying to get one of his receivers to cover up the left tackle.
Oh, and then once Darren Sproles went into motion, he just turned away and didn't even look at the play.
Yep. What I was trying to say was, how much does that really impact the play if you're the defense?
That's Greg Lewis, wide receiver coach. It has no impact on the defense whatsoever, Jim. They don't know if you're on the line of scrimmage out there or on or off. What the person that matters does, that's the official. That's a mistake that you absolutely can't make. You should never make that mistake once the whole year.
Aguilar, who was getting a word you saw with Greg Lewis, the receiver coach, line up wide to the right, blitz down the middle, and that was, in fact, Aguilar right there with a lapse of concentration that time too.
Well, beautiful throw by Wentz. Man, he looked it off. He got Earl Thomas deep, so it opened up the middle of the field big, and it's a strike. He just lets the football get behind him. He got past him. But he's dropped quite a few this year coming into this game.
Yeah, it would have been 25 yards minimum. 2nd and 10. Low snap, handoff Sproles, and the wiggle right past Lane. And Sherman able to wrap them up, and they are able to get 8 on a play that looked like a busted play from the get-go with a low snap.
Yeah, they've done this a couple times. Like they're going to go to the left, and then he shifts and goes back to the right. It's the design of the play. He did it to the left one time, this time to the right. And you said it right. He's got a lot of wiggle.
And again, no Ryan Matthews, as Tracy reported, injured a knee on the first snap of this second quarter. Down at the Seattle 9-yard line on a carry. 3rd and 2. Batted down. And that Eagles defense that probably needed a rest because they've been out there a lot in this quarter. They're going to have to come right back out.
Well, they come with the blitz. Cam Chancellor to the top of the screen. And one of the reasons why they blitz, they've been blitzing more under Chris Richard, the defensive coordinator. But Darren Sproles is in the backfield. Can you block Cam Chancellor one-on-one? That's why they blitzed him.
Chancellor, who had a big game against the Patriots, with a big play there, and the punt by Jones.
Yeah, he had a couple big plays right at the end of the game, didn't he, against the Patriots? Stopping the run, stopping Gronkowski on the last play of the game.
How about the game ending up, again, down on the goal line area again? What was it Doug Baldwin said to us? It was poetic justice.
Oh, yeah, you know, you actually made Pete Carroll smile when you brought that whole thing up and said, nice to turn that situation around. And I'm sure Pete Carroll last week, going back to New England where he once coached, the Super Bowl loss, a lot of stuff going on there. Great victory for him. Of course, and for the team. And this is one thing he is great at. Not talking, working the referees. Constantly talking, complaining. I'd say most coaches do that anyway.
Some are better than others, though, you're saying. It's a run with Procise for 5. It looked like it could be a whole lot more. We do have a penalty marker.
Holding. Number 63 offense. 10-yard penalty. First down.
Tuesday on CBS, one agent's family comes to town and invades NCIS for Thanksgiving. Catch a new episode that's full of surprises Tuesday at 8, 7 Central on America's #1 network.
Well, George Fant back in the game at left tackle. That's good. You know, you saw it. That C.J. Procise, that run. When they spread you out, you worry about Graham. You know, you got Baldwin, you got Jermaine Kearse, and now you got this guy in the backfield.
Movement again on that right side.
False start. Number 79 offense. 5-yard penalty. Remains first down.
3rd false start already called on the home team.
It has a lot to do with the talent of this defensive line, which we talked about. But Darrell Bevel, offensive coordinator for there's a quarterback comparison here so far. Both of them solid. Russell Wilson with the big throws down the field. Darrell Bevel's done a great job of mixing plays up, getting all the players involved in his game plan.
1st and 25. Procise trying to wiggle his way out of a jam. Only able to get 2. Bradham on the hit. Takes us to the 2-minute warning. You're watching the NFL on CBS. Coming up, the Verizon halftime report with JB, Tony, Bart, Boomer, Coach Cowher. All the latest scores and highlights. Well, it's been a wild day yet again. Week 11 in the NFL. 2nd and 23. Jump pass, Procise. Good piece of tackle there to bring him down right away by Jordan Hicks. The Seahawks have all of their timeouts, but with it being 3rd and 19, it's going to be Philly here that wants to burn one. And that leaves the Eagles with 1. 3rd and 19 coming up. The Philadelphia timeout at 3rd and 19 here for the Seahawks. Over to Wilson. And he stopped 8 yards short of the first, maybe 7. Wilson tackled down by Jenkins.
Good job using timeouts by Doug Peterson. Wants to give his team one more chance with the football.
Yeah, the Eagles took their final timeout. And stop it at 1:45. Yeah, a nice little chat with Doug Peterson about the things you learn your first year as a head coach. What's been the hardest decision you've had to make so far? And it comes down to some of those 3rd and 4th down calls.
Oh yeah. He looks back to the Giant game and regrets maybe one of those.
Sproles has a chance here. Darts ahead. Then he runs into a wall at the 37. Tackled by Freeze, the long snapper, and others. So the Verizon halftime report again is coming up with a recap of all the early games, including Tampa's win at Kansas City.
Very surprising.
Chiefs had not lost at home. There are now only 3 teams in the league have not lost a home game this year. That would be Houston, Philadelphia, and Seattle.
Well, special teams did a good job for the Philadelphia Eagles. They've been good in special teams for the last 3 years. Can Carson Wentz find something down the field to give him a chance to kick a field goal here before half?
Handoff. It's Barner. And he stays in bounds. As they hustle back to the line, pick up a 5.
Good play call. Something they're good at. Sprint draw plays.
They'd love to have the services of Sproles about right now, but he looks to be shaken up on the bench. That's not much of anything there, but to keep the clock running. It's Ertz with the catch.
Yes.
3rd and 2.
A guy they love in these situations is Sproles, and of course their power runner Ryan Matthews out also.
Good for the first down. Back to Ertz, who now has 5 catches in the first half, including the touchdown for the Eagles. Thought he might run up and spike it, but clock still running down at 22 seconds. Intercepted by Chancellor, and he falls at the 40. Seattle actually should have time to make a throw or two and maybe get in range for Hauschka. We've got a little scuffle going on.
Yeah, you know what happened, Jim? You can't stare at the receiver too long, and that's what Carson Wentz did. He looked to his left, and Cam Chancellor comes from the other side. It's a deep safety and a low safety, and Cam Chancellor was the low safety. Carson Wentz never saw him. But look how long. He's looking left. Cam Chancellor reads it. Of course, what a target. Cam Chancellor, he's even bigger in person than he looks on the field.
Now, the Seahawks can do something here with 16 seconds and all of their timeouts. Chancellor's first interception of the season. That secondary's held the Eagles wide receivers to only 2 catches in the first half for 15 yards. Bouncing away from the pressure. To Close, and he is knocked down. Ball squirts out. It's incomplete. Bradham on the hit. So Wentz first pick thrown in 98 attempts.
Well, he's been smart with the ball all year. Very careful, very precise offense. We've had that conversation. They like to protect, no matter if you're a veteran. This is just kind of the offense that Doug Peterson's going to run.
Need a gain of about 20. Wide open's Richardson. Too high for him.
Boy, really good job. Russell Wilson, if he's not moving, if he could have just set his feet, he would have hit Richardson down the left side. Nolan Carroll just let Richardson go too quick. You let him catch a 5 or 10 yard pass, but don't give up a 30-yard strike down the field to the sideline.
So now the Eagles drop 3 defenders back to the 20. Probably way off the line of scrimmage. Over the walls. Thrown down at the 40. We reach halftime. Seahawks in that first half with 300 yards on the money. Total offense. Lead it 16-7. Tracy, down to you.
It's a lot. Coach, the interception right there, the touchdown that was called back. What do you need to see from Carson Wentz in your offense in the second half?
Well, we just have to kind of relax and play, execute. We, we had an illegal formation on the screen. That's a huge play. We can't make that mistake. And then we just got to do a better job with our eyes. I think right now he's kind of predetermining things, kind of staring some things down. We know their safeties are very active. They read the quarterback's eyes. We just got to get back to fundamental football, and we should be okay in the second half.
Appreciate it. Thanks a lot.
Eagles will receive the third quarter kick again at halftime. Seattle leads it 16-7. We'll return with the Verizon halftime report after this message and a word from your local station. You're watching the NFL on CBS. Well, we're back here in Seattle. They're getting set now to kick it to Philadelphia. Let's take a look at the first half fresh start presented by Febreze. Wilson had Hicks bearing down on him. Was able to flip it like a shortstop turning a ground ball to throw to first for the out.
You remember those days, right? Turning the double play. Hey, I was a shortstop. You got to dip down there, and
that's what he did.
That's exactly what he did.
And Graham, he did a little business too, taking it home for the touchdown. So the numbers for Seattle as this team really is hitting its stride here the second half of the season. 300 yards of total offense against one of the top 10 defenses in the league.
Weapons.
And healthy.
And getting healthy, yes. And again, hey, they're not far away from getting Michael Bennett back. Mike Morgan, another linebacker.
The Eagles are the best second half team in the league by point differential, plus 71 coming into this week. But back to the Seahawks, when you talk to Pete Carroll, he told us how healthy now the team, it's all coming together. He said, we got a good team. You could just see the excitement about where he felt his football team was right now.
Well, that's always something when you hear a coach say that, I got a good team, because usually they're always beating around the edges or whatever. I think we all know it. They are getting healthy. I think what's got to make Seattle fans, and if you're a fan of football about this team, is the weapons they have on offense. And their offensive line, to me, was the story of the first half. They won the battle against the Eagles' defensive front.
Yeah, no pressures at all on Russell Wilson. There's the handoff to Smallwood, and look at K.J. Wright pummel him behind the line. Let's go down to Tracy.
Jim, a few injury updates. Running backs Ryan Matthews and Darren Sproles remain in the locker room. Matthews out with that knee injury he suffered in the second quarter. Sproles out with a rib injury. And C.J. Procise in the locker room right now having his shoulder checked out, Jim.
Okay, wow. Rough first half for 3 running backs in this game. Smallwood now with 5 carries for 7 yards. Almost picked off as Sherman jumped it. Well, the Eagles in the second half, they've been a terrific third quarter team, and overall plus 71. That's the best margin in the league. Look at the third quarter down there in red. That's the plus 58. It's the second best by any team in any quarter. Well, this could be a quick series here if they fail to pick up 11. They're down to just Smallwood and Barner in the backfield, and Barner flanks Wentz as we've got a flag out and a pre-snap call here coming up against the Eagles.
Yeah, you kept them in the stance way too long. Crowd noise, anticipation.
Ball start, number 71, offense, 5-yard penalty, remains third down.
Had 3 pre-snap penalties on each side of this game. Philly offense, Seattle offense. 3rd and 16.
Well, you heard Tracy Wilson when she interviewed Doug Peterson right before after halftime that Carson Wentz, be careful with your eyes. Don't stare at the receiver too long.
Wentz looking now. Last moment goes right through the hands of Barner. He checked out and found an open Barner at the last moment. He would never come anywhere close to a first down had he caught it.
Good protection, but it did collapse a little hard for a quarterback even as big as Carson Wentz to see down the field once the offensive line starts getting pushed back.
Here's Jones. Caught this one. Back to the 22 is Lockett. Good piece of tackling there. And a 60-yard punt. Well, this Philadelphia front seven, as you talked about all week,
Yep.
he's got to start making his presence felt.
Well, they did not. You got to give a lot of credit to the Seattle offensive line, but it's also just the weapons, the movement of Russell Wilson, all the different formations and plays they threw at this defense neutralized that good defensive front. So line young, a lot of confidence by the coaching staff that it's going to turn into a very good offensive line.
Rawls slides off the first contact. His first hit there by McKelvin.
Wow.
And then darts ahead for 5.
He did the hitting Rawls did that time. He just lowered his shoulder and hit McKelvin. Just take a look as you talked about last night. Look how young it is. And boy, Justin Britt at center, the old guy, very happy with him moving to center. Has done a great job. And talked about the left tackle that played basketball in college.
And over the top, Baldwin, and just at the last moment, McKelvin got an arm in there and broke it up.
I love this play. Little inside fake and then almost try to get a pick. That's legal what they were doing, and excellent play by Leotis McKelvin. Or over the years, haven't you seen the Seattle Seahawks wide receivers go up and make more contested catches than any other team it seems like in football?
When we visited with Doug Baldwin about that, we talked about the opportunities and making the most out of it. And here he is. Going to shake off one hit. Fight for the first down.
Well, there you go. That says it all about him. I said, how did you go undrafted? He has the speed. They showed it at the combine, but he goes, hey, you can't measure heart. And that says a lot about him.
How about this? This is since the start of last season. He's tied with Beckham and Robinson coming into the week with most touchdown catches. Robinson had a touchdown grab in their game up at Detroit today. Here's a 1st and 10. And Wilson will run with it, as he always does. He stretches out to get that extra yardage. Puts the arm out, football out, no market there.
Well, just changes his offense. You talked about it. Last year he gained over 600 yards running the football. And this year, I think off the top of my head, he's gained 60, before this game.
Yep. He's got a new running back. Look at this, number 43, Troy Maine Pope. An interesting story here, up off the practice squad. This is second carry of the season. Goes for only a yard, but it was his practice play. This was all part of what set up ultimately for the release of Christine Michael, because they had Rawls coming back,
right.
And Pope by every practice was saying, you got to play me.
Yeah.
Just by his performance.
Hey, that's it. You know, and that's what I love about Seattle. It's about practice. You want to play well in the games, you got to play well in the practice field. and you want to get on the field, make the coach. Show him in practice you can get it done, and that's how he made the team. That's why he's in the game now. It's a great story, and really it's kind of a credit to the Seahawks, isn't it? Just that they let their players compete at practice.
3rd and 6. Finally some pressure on Wilson, and that will be their first sack of the game. Vinnie Curry, Marcus Smith, both able to trip him up, and they'll bring out Ryan to punt.
Well, just good hustle by Vinnie Curry. Good first move, stays with it, and gets Russell Wilson down before he gets the first down. Big stand by the Philly defense here to start this 3rd quarter. Keep them in the game.
Barner steps up and then runs away from him. Watches it bounce right over him. And all the way down to the 1-yard line where it's covered up. Look at Thorpe down it at the 1. 59-yard punt by Ryan. They brought in Barner because Sproles was out, and he stayed away from it, and it cost him. If you think it was loud before, you haven't heard anything till now. They mark it at the 2. Ryan with a 50-yard plus punt in every game now this year. And Wentz hands it off to Smallwood. And he's able to get it out near the 6 as we take a look at our nationwide sky cam. Dangerous spot here for the rookie quarterback, who's 10 out of 20 for 82 yards, a touchdown, and an interception.
Good job that time by the offensive line, and Nelson Aguilar on the outside got the good block to let Smallwood get out there and get some yards.
Wentz, though, only 2 of his last 8, including that pick. Gonna throw from the goal line. Heaves it down the field, and it is intercepted by Sherman. Hit when he threw it. Sherman with his 4th pick of the year.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by Southwest. Yes to low fares with nothing to hide. That's transparency. Fruit of the Loom. Keep your cool in breathable underwear. And by Nationwide. Nationwide is on your side.
A little behind the scenes look at a Boeing 737 being constructed just outside of downtown.
At the 41-yard line, first down.
That basically served as a 54-yard punt, if you will. And it's a turnover, of course, but from the 41 now. Wilson looks down the field, and oh, it's caught. Nope, his feet were not in. That was Curse. And on that interception, you might have seen it. Earl Thomas was there with Sherman, and he pulled up at the very end of it.
What I'm watching, though, look at Richard Sherman. You talk about defensive backs. Earl Thomas, yeah, there's a little pull-up, a left hamstring. But how they both play the football. See Earl Thomas grab it, but Pete Carroll, listen, you want to be a defensive back on his team, you better be to cover, and you better be able to catch it.
30 picks since 2011, most of the league. 2nd down carry for nothing. In fact, loss of 1 for Rawls. We've got a player injured. It's Fletcher Cox. Been a number of injuries in this game, including Procise out of that backfield for Seattle, but now Cox, huge star for this defense. We saw Cox laid out on the field, but during the break he was able to get to his feet, jog to the sideline. It looks like he's ready to come back in. First opportunity. 3rd and 11 though, first here.
Yeah, that quick snap count almost had him.
Wilson. Open is Baldwin. Baldwin high steps it Down to about the 26.
Well, they come with the blitz. Malcolm Jenkins. And there's just such a huge vacuum in the middle of the field. Reading the quarterback, Russell Wilson stepping up. It made Jordan Hicks, the linebacker, leave his spot. Doug Baldwin wide open.
And another Eagle defender is down. It's Barwin. That's Wilson getting hit by Logan. And all this discussion about rushing yards that were absent the first half of the season with Wilson not 100%. The other part of it is having his legs back is the kind of plays he's made many times here today, including the touchdown play to Jimmy Graham where he's danced around and found his way out of the pocket as he did on this play too.
Absolutely. You know, it's not necessarily that he needed to move, but if you're Russell Wilson, you're not going to stand there and wait to the last second and throw the football and let him hit you. That's one of the great things he's done in his career that we talked about a couple years ago, Jim. Very seldom do you see him take a big hit. Now, he did take a few more big hits when that knee and ankle were bothering him, but you give him a lane, he's going to take it, move, either run it or look to throw it down the field, which we just saw to Doug Baldwin.
So Connor Barwin comes out. One play after Cox was shaken up. Now Cox is back out. But a first down for Seattle from the 26. Swings it over to Rawls. Takes on the challenge with Bradham. It's going to be a gain of 9. You're going to rule him down at the 17.
Yep, Thomas Rawls excited to be back on the field, and he is delivering some blows today as he runs that football. My gosh. I'll tell you, it's like Pete Carroll said, you know, he's an emotional guy, and the crowd knows it, and you can hear the crowd get excited.
Here he goes again. Powering ahead for the first down. Gain of 2.
I'm trying to think who he learned this from. Oh, that's right. Marshawn Lynch.
That's right. We were here a game against Chicago last year, week 3, where we really got a first glimpse of Rawls and said, hey, this guy could be a dynamic player. It was on this weekend, in fact, a year ago, in a game against San Francisco. He had a 209-yard rushing performance against the Niners. It's to Baldwin, who's looking to throw. He's looking to go back to Wilson. It's there for the touchdown.
I saw it coming. Anytime the quarterback pitches whatever, somebody's got to stay outside and wait for him to make sure he doesn't release. Doug Baldwin did a really good job of pulling up probably before he was ready because he was under pressure, but a perfect spiral and a perfect throw to Russell Wilson. Check out his form and throws well under pressure.
Touchdown reception for Russell Wilson, and Baldwin with the touchdown strike from 15 out. Hauschka's kick is good. Well, they've been saving that play. That's another one of them they couldn't have run early in the year when Wilson was not 100%. Little trickery pays off for Carroll and company.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by American Express. This Small Business Saturday, get out and shop small. And by Papa John's, official pizza sponsor of the NFL.
Well, Russell Wilson with his first NFL touchdown reception. He had one at Wisconsin in a game against Indiana back in 2011. The pass was thrown by Monte Ball.
Oh, how about that? Nice throw by Doug Baldwin, no doubt.
Yeah, that was Baldwin's first ever NFL pass attempt.
Well, a couple things. Baldwin throws under pressure, but Russell Wilson wants to go outside. But the outside, Connor Barber was there, so he cut it up inside quick. Now watch.
We'll give him a 10 on the pass and a, I don't know, maybe a 5 on the cartwheel.
I don't know. The Russian judge says that's going to go low. Russell Wilson. I don't know what. That's it.
Reliving it. That's the
great.
first receiving touchdown ever by a Seattle quarterback.
Really?
Never
you never ran
happened for
that
Zorn?
play with Jim Zorn?
There your guy, David Craig.
My man, David, yes.
Smallwood. He steps out of bounds after a gain of about 4.
His career, okay.
Yeah, he's had other catches, but never one that produced a touchdown until now.
See Baldwin's career stats, all his quarterback rating. I can't wait to hear what his QBR is and all that other stuff. Oh, yeah, under pressure. Oh, he threw under pressure, too. So, oh, well. Philadelphia's offense missing some weapons. Crowd noise, and this team in Seattle, they are great front runners.
2nd and 6. Smallwood trying to make the cut around KJ Wright, who stayed with him. It's going to be 3rd and short coming up.
You know, when I say front runners, what I mean is when they get on top, they're an emotional team. You can see that, Jim, just being around them and talking to them and watching these games, and they can just let it go. Now their real, true top of their ability comes out.
By the way, Earl Thomas, with that hamstring injury suffered on the Sherman interception play, he is not out there. Stephen Terrell is number 23 back at the 45-yard line. 3rd and 3. And the officials stop it. A timeout called by the Seahawks.
Timeout, Seattle, a 30-second timeout.
Week 11 continues. Sunday Night Football on NBC. The Packers at the Redskins. And tomorrow, ESPN from Mexico City. The Texans take on the Raiders. And a full lineup on Thanksgiving Day. And we'll lead it off with the Vikings and the Lions, a battle for first place in the NFC North. In fact, look at the standings right now. Green Bay's in 3rd. Both the Lions and Vikings winners today to improve to 6-4, and we will see you all Thanksgiving Day from Detroit, from Ford Field. Third and 3. And off the hands of Matthews, incomplete. And nothing for the Eagles offense to talk about this half. Matthews with only 1 catch in the game for 4 yards.
Yeah, could have had the catch, no question, but short pass thrown pretty hard by Carson Wentz.
Jones with a spiral. Takes Lockett all the way back to the 11. Able to get about 11 on the return after a 56-yard punt. 23-7 Seahawks in command. Jim Nantz, Phil Simms, Tracy Wolfson back here in Seattle, where the Eagles wide receivers have as many receiving yards as Russell Wilson.
Wow, that's a big part of this game. Thought it was going to be a problem coming in, and it is.
That's Walls.
Well, it's a new day out here in Seattle. It's not just pound and ground or whatever you want to say. It's about big plays, explosive offense. They got the playmakers, Procise, Doug Baldwin deep down the field, and then let's add a few little wrinkles in there and throw one back to the quarterback. And, hey, they got a good defense. And on the offensive side, they look continuously for ways to get the football down the field for those explosive plays.
Wilson in trouble. able to run out of there and slide for about another 3. In building this team, or rebuilding it might be more like it, because they started facing big contracts out there, like Russell Wilson.
Right.
They had to give somewhere, and really the place that they had to take away from was the offensive line.
Oh, absolutely. They took it all away from the team that won. John Schneider, the general manager, him and Pete Carroll did a great job of figuring out what they wanted to do with the football team. And they're building this offensive line back up. It's young, but you can absolutely see the potential and the athleticism when you watch them play.
3rd and 4. That's Rawls. Stopped short. Good tackle over there by McKelvin. Yeah, that offensive line, Pete Carroll said this really exciting time around here with this redevelopment, because they says they're good and they're young. You look across that line and you're talking rookies or second or third year players.
We didn't talk about him. The fact that we haven't said their names many times today tells you they're doing a good job.
Barner takes it on one hop. Again, seeing action as a returner with Sproles out to injury. That's Thorpe again there deep again. Or on the coverage, we got a flag in the area where he was tackled.
After the play was over, unnecessary roughness, number 47 of the receiving team, half the distance to the goal, 1st down.
Called on Burton. Let's get an update. Let's go back to JB and Tony in New York.
Well, Tom Brady wasn't a ballerina, but effective.
Yeah, look at this guy. He looks like a cat. He doesn't want to go down. And he gets the 5-yard throw to Danny Amendola for the touchdown. That capped a 10-play, 80-yard drive. 2010, New England is up over San Francisco.
Back to Jim and Phil.
All right, that one early in the 4th quarter.
Well, we showed that little graphic earlier. The wide receivers for Philadelphia only have accounted for 15 yards today.
Wentz, one hopper in the area of Burton. Now, you talked about the offensive line, Phil, and how they had to let people go, meantime, or trade them. Meanwhile, the defense, they went with this core group right here. Put the money,
put it in
these
there.
Names.
They did put it all in these defensive players. What I like about it, they've got them all signed. They identified they didn't want to lose any of them. And a lot of times you see big contracts given to players and their play declines. That has not happened to anybody in that group.
2nd and 10. And Smallwood breaks one for about 17. Yeah, this defense, it's for the last 4 years has led the league in fewest points allowed, and they came into this week 2nd in the league to Minnesota, maybe on their way to 5 straight years.
Yeah, that's why they decided to do this. They knew they wanted to keep this group together because they could keep playing this style of defense. They're very close. You can see that when you watch them in practice. They communicate, even though it looks like a simple defense. It's, of course, complicated in all the little rules they have involved with it.
The 31, Smallwood.
And, you know, the one thing I love, Jim, did you happen to see the Atlanta game where they were playing? I think we were off that weekend. And they made some mistakes in the secondary, and they were arguing with each other.
Oh, yeah.
And then all of a sudden, there became this, like, special moment where they all started jumping around, and it tells you something about Pete Carroll, the environment he's created, and that defense also.
Yeah, they got sideways with one another, and then they came together, unified just minutes after that. Of course, they escaped a missed call on what looked like a pass interference call against, it would have been on Seattle with Julio Jones. It would have put Atlanta in position to win the game with a field goal. That's Barner for no gain. This is what you were talking about in that Atlanta game. That's Thomas and that's Sherman.
Wow.
And now Chancellor and Sherman.
And then, look, here's what we do. This was great.
Minutes later.
Minutes late, you know, it's
settled
like,
it and moved on.
The phrase was, we won't lose you. We're going to stay together. They recaptured each other by that jumping up and down, which now they do, or I saw them do it before the game today.
3rd and 6. Wentz. Ball comes out. Boy, he got walloped. Oh, it's recovered by Seattle. Recovery by Jeremy Lane. Averill was the one who put the hit on him.
Recovered by the offense. 4th down.
Oh, now they've changed the call down on the field. Now they say it's recovered by the offense, but they signaled the other way. You saw it. Vaitai looked to have it there on the recovery. Look at Averill.
Yep. Confusion on the offensive line. The quickness of Cliff Averill, one of those core guys we talked about. There's 9 sacks coming into this game today. Still has the speed after 9 years to turn the corner and get it done, inside or out.
Pete Carroll still looking up at the board, hoping to see some replay that maybe gives him reason to throw the challenge flag. He's like, wait a minute, what, you told us we recovered, then you said we didn't. So Jones to punt. Line drive to Lockett. Past a couple of Eagles. Gets to his feet after losing his balance. And he's near the 40. 20-yard return. Tackled by Smallwood. Lockett, who is such a dangerous returner. Had a punt return and a kick return last year as a rookie for touchdowns.
He came out of the blocks returning last year in preseason, early in the year. Just another one of those guys that returner, plays wide receiver. They put special plays in for him each week on the offensive side. Well, you know, you got to give, you look at the score, 23-7. You got to give this Eagles defense, boy, they have been put up against it. It seems like ever since the first quarter.
It's Wilson. Boy, he saw Cox break through quickly, and he took off and scrambled for about 6 or 7.
Just, it's amazing. It's got to be so frustrating. And what a difference in watching Russell Wilson. I mean, Fletcher Cox, he comes around. Brandon Graham, they would have got a sack against just about any other quarterback in the NFL. Russell Wilson never hesitates to take off, and that's why he stayed healthy for all these years.
Wilson with a season-high 19 yards rushing. Good slam. First down with Richardson. Tonight on 60 Minutes, Bruno Mars may be the hardest working man in show business. Plus, why is one of the greatest teams in American sports so upset that the U.S. women's soccer team? Only on 60 Minutes tonight, CBS. Time running out on the 3rd quarter. And Seattle driving again. 23-7 after 3. You're watching the NFL on CBS. Leotis McKelvin heading to the locker room. He took his helmet away after a big contact play a moment ago. We start the 4th quarter, and the Seahawks lead it by 16. That's Pope with his 2nd carry. Again, he was brought up from the practice squad on Tuesday. They liked what they saw out of him, the rookie out of Jacksonville State in the preseason. But then the Jets picked him up. They had him for a little while and then let him go. And Seattle said, we like what we saw. Brought him back, and he's been, in the words of Coach Carroll, explosive in practice. He hasn't had a chance to make an explosion play, if you will, on his 2 carries. He had early contact on him, but He limps to the sideline.
The old adage, make me play you, the coach says, and he did.
2nd and 7. To the sideline to Lockett. That's good for another first.
It makes it look so easy. Wants to throw it inside to Jimmy Graham, and he does not. Then he just escapes the pocket. The defense retreats. Jimmy Graham, 88, right in the middle of the field. Look how open Lockett is on the sidelines. Well, Russell Wilson got those big hands, really throws the ball well on the run. You said it earlier, Jim, and just talk about he throws it like a baseball. That's why he's so good on the run, throwing the football.
Fakes the toss to Rawls, and now almost reeled in by Graham with one hand. He's made a number of one-handed spectacular grabs this season. Almost had another one.
Yep, made 2 of them for touchdowns against the Buffalo Bills. Just couldn't quite get that one.
Well, plus it was the hit by McLeod.
Yeah, McLeod, good job recognizing it. Nobody else was covering him. He got over there and knocked it away.
Second and 10. And that thrown toward Lockett. You know, Seattle on top of the NFC West coming into the week's already seen Arizona lose today to Minnesota. The Rams right now leading Miami, shutting them out in the 4th quarter, 10-0. And we can see the Rams move into 2nd position, but comfortable lead there for Seattle out west. And of course, Dallas already won today to go to 9-1. Seahawks trying to stay in striking distance for that #1 seed. 3rd and 10. And incomplete. Looking for Graham again. It'll bring out Hauschka.
Well, one of their favorite calls. They love these down the goal line. They're always looking to go up the seams. They did the play before. It was well covered. Nigel Bradham is just good job. Cuts underneath Graham. Really nowhere to throw the football.
Be a 35-yard field goal attempt for Hauschka, who has been better in kicking field goals this year than extra points. He's 18 out of 22. He's missed 4 PATs. He's missed only 2 field goals, 19 out of 21. And he's got another field goal. 20 unanswered. (26-7) lead for Seattle. Well, the Seahawks have taken control of this one. 20 unanswered. And lead it with 13.5 to go. We'll try this all over again. You know, for the Eagles, you got your franchise player at quarterback.
Right.
You know Wentz is going to be there for a dozen years or so, probably beyond. But there's all kinds of adversities you got to go through, you know, as a rookie quarterback to learn how to play in situations like this. Play a number of games, a stretch of, well, for almost 2 months now. Life mostly on the road.
Hey, it's going to be part of what playing quarterback in the NFL is. Let's look at some next-gen stats. Today's game, when he gets rid of the football under 2.5 seconds, 63% completion. When it goes over 2.5, the receivers are not getting open. Here's a good example. Holds it, has to throw it deep down the field. It leads to one of the 2 interceptions he has thrown today.
11 out of 24 for the game. But his leading receivers, the first 3 names are tight ends.
Wow. Darren Sproles, I thought he'd be a pretty big part of their passing game today, but we never found out.
That's just the second catch of the game for Jordan Matthews. Gain of 6, and the Eagles have done nothing offensively in this half. They punted 3 times, and then Wentz got picked off going deep, throwing out of his own end zone. They've had 1 first down in the second half. Make it 2. Smallwood picks it up. Let's go down to Tracy.
Well, Jim, you mentioned Darren Sproles. He's out. Ryan Matthews out. C.J. Procise in the locker room, questionable. And now Troymaine Pope in the locker room as well, questionable with a right ankle injury. Jim?
Boy, it is the running backs. That's 4 in all between the two teams. 1st and 10. There's Wentz throw and try to find just a tiny opening there for Zach Ertz. Wagner was right there with him.
Yeah, this is a specialty of Bobby Wagner's, to follow the receiver when they go deep across the field. A lot of teams had hit this early in the year on him, but that time he was all over, played it perfectly. Bobby Wagner, as some of their coaches said, he might be the best athlete on our team. And to say that is, even if it's not true, still a big statement. Tells you how talented he is playing linebacker.
2nd and 10. And Smallwood. Just 3. Wagner again on the hit. And again, we go back to J.B. Antonio, New York.
Hey, Jim, this is a hard-earned touchdown.
Yes, it is. You're going to see Ryan Tannehill drop back. He's going to get Jarvis Landry right here, and he appears to be going down. But that's not the case. The big boys push him all the way to the end zone for the touchdown. 10-7, Rams are up, 4:02 left in the game.
I wonder if Phil Simms ever experienced that in his career. Back to Jim Nance.
All right, so the Dolphins trying to complete a 2-week West Coast trip. They won at San Diego. They stayed out in California and finally put points on the board with 3 minutes to go at the Coliseum. 3rd and 7. Open. First down. Matthews. You know, looking at that Miami game against the Rams during a break, you were saying, I don't like when these teams decide they're going to stay out west, play a game. If they got back-to-back weeks, those East Coast teams, it never worked out for you.
We did it a couple times. We lost that second game each time, and everybody's done it this year. I'm not sure. Don't know the records, but I think that second game, hey, I'd rather sleep in my own bed, do the routine at home at our stadium instead of being in a hotel room.
1st and 10, and wide of the mark that time. Pass intended for Green Beckham.
Yeah, he was open, and Carson Wentz, you know, look, you talked about it. You're going to go through some adversity as a rookie, no question, but he, that time, just was a little quick. In other words, he was trying to throw it, and then he eases up instead of just waiting, see it, and then just really let it go.
As coach said, he's even got to learn how to move on after losing, because they lost so seldomly in college. Lost only 3 games as a starter and won a couple of national championships at North Dakota State. Here's a 2nd and 10 throw, batted up in the air, incomplete.
It's really incredible when you watch Seattle. That's Tony McDaniels there, knocks it down. They immediately realize, Jim, when they're a pass rusher, and if they're not going to get to the quarterback, they stop, and they watch you, and they jump. And I watch in every game, and they knock passes down, and when it goes up in the air, you're a quarterback, you're thinking one thing, oh my gosh, somebody's going to intercept it.
Got to think it's 4 down territory time for Philly. 3rd and 10. Wentz has hit only 5 of his last 17 passes. And all kinds of time here. And Ertz. That's Lane who tripped him up in an open field. It's going to be 4th and 3.
Well, two good things. Carson Wentz waited, threw it to the open guy, knowing he's got 4th down to go. And Seattle's defense, hey, look, they're good. They're very smart. They played the situation right.
defense makes the play. I'm not even sure he would have had enough for the first anyway. Ertz. Hit by KJ Wright. And Seattle takes over on downs.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by Acura. Precision crafted performance. AT&T. And by State Farm. Talk to an agent today at 800-STATE-FARM.
That's the Museum of Pop Culture. About 10 minutes away here from the stadium, founded by Seahawks owner Paul Allen. His team leading it 26-7 as Rawls breaks tackles, gets to his feet. Oh, he says, I could have done more with that. Gain of 8.
Well, we talked about coming into the game, the defensive line for Philadelphia needed to dominate. They have not. The offensive line of Seattle, a big part of this story, giving him time and space to look down the field for those explosive plays. These are just a couple of them we've seen so far today. And even with the defensive line for Philadelphia wins their battles, which they have, Russell Wilson just runs out of trouble.
2nd and 2. And Rawls takes it across the first down marker. That gives them now 152 yards on the ground, the Seahawks. And that's the most rushing yards in a game this year. We're 72 of it coming on that precise run in the first quarter for the touchdown.
Well, you can absolutely see where Thomas Rawls gives them that other element, the guy that can go in there and get you the tough yards. You know, all teams need, you need a power runner, and he is definitely the power runner for this offense.
Over to Baldwin. Baldwin breaking tackles. Jimmy Graham over there helping out too with a block.
Good block by Jimmy Graham. Down the field, and Doug Baldwin just find ways to get him the football. It was probably a double play. In other words, they could throw the screen or have a running play with it. But Jimmy Graham leading the way. It's Jalen Mills. That's awesome.
17-yard gain puts Baldwin over 100 on 4 catches, 104, plus the touchdown pass. And Rawls. That right away by Cox.
You know, you talked about Baldwin earlier. We showed that graphic that he's caught as many touchdown throws as anybody else in the NFL coming into the game the last 2 years. But there was always so many other things to talk about when you talked about Seattle. So he never got mentioned.
Plus he wasn't drafted.
Wasn't
coming
drafted.
Out of Stanford.
Yeah, so he didn't have, you know, we weren't alerted to him. And it was always Marshawn Lynch. Of course, then Russell Wilson came onto the scene and
came out of the same, well, he came out of Stanford the same year as Richard Sherman.
How about that duel together?
That's a pickup of 4 by Rawls.
My point being, what took me so long to see it? You know, as I watch all these things, I go, okay, that's a nice play, but I never just put him in another category except with this is a large group of receivers, and he's much better than that.
Well, he had 14 touchdown catches last year, 5 this year, 3 of them coming against New England. But it was what they saw of him last year. He got one of those big, rich contracts, 4-year, $46 million extension over the summer.
Which is so cool. All their guys that get these extensions, man, they keep on rolling and keep playing well.
3rd and 5. Wilson dancing around for a second time and able to fling it at the last minute. Was he out of bounds before he threw it?
He got rid of it, I think. Yes, he did. But really a good job by the defensive line of the Eagles. When he spun out left, I said, this is big trouble.
Oh, yeah, easily
out.
Got it away for the incompletion. But it's going to be Hauschka time again from about 44.
Philadelphia's defense, they're going to be exhausted when this game's over. Seems like they've been out there the whole game.
Hauschka's kick, no good. Only his second miss in his last 32 attempts at home. Sailed on him the last minute. Stays 26-7. Some of the early action today across the league. The Cowboys won for the 9th consecutive time. Looked like the Ravens would give them fits early, but then Prescott and company and Ezekiel Elliott, they went on to post big numbers. The Giants outlast the Bears, Manning with a couple of touchdown passes. Le'Veon had 201 yards, scrimmage yards, 145 on the ground. Here's Wentz, dropping back 7 yards and firing it right on the money to Jordan Matthews. Cowboys 9 straight wins. That is a franchise single season record. And the Giants are on a roll. Pittsburgh defeats winless Cleveland. And again, 11 extra points missed today across the league, the most in 50 years in the league on 1 week.
Nice throw on first down by Carson Wentz, though. Coverage was tight. He put it right on the money.
Yep, and that's their longest play of the game. It went for 26.
Rocket! Rocket!
Down to the 35 to Smallwood for 5 more. The Eagles in that division where everyone came into the week with a winning record, although the Eagles are on their way to dropping to 5-5, it appears. Giants at 7-3. Redskins to host Green Bay tonight.
Hey, Rip, 5-4.
2nd and 5. Ball tip, incomplete. Well, let's get an update. James Brown in New York.
Miami trying to win it.
Yes, they are. Ryan Tannehill drops back, and he hits Devontae Parker for 9 yards, 14-10. Miami takes the lead over Los Angeles with 36 seconds left.
That in regulation. Back to Jim Nantz.
Yeah, thank you, fellas. And again, they had been blanked for the first 56 minutes of that game. Coming on late. Dolphins trying to get to 6-4 on the year. Third and 5 snap. Wentz. A little extra heat on that one. Complete to Matthews.
Yeah, excellent job, Carson Wentz. Pressure. Matthews in the open part of the zone. But the pressure on him, he threw it as he was falling back, which you have to do a lot of in this league if you're a quarterback.
Seattle defense not set, so Wentz goes ahead and snaps it, and the pass incomplete, but a lot of flags thrown in that secondary. Trying to get it to Ertz. That Seattle secondary without Shed and Thomas. We've had a lot of injuries in this game.
2 fouls by the defense on the play. 12-men defense. That penalty's declined. Offside, number 91 defense. That penalty be accepted. 5 yards. Remains first down.
Yeah, you said it, Jim. A lot of key players not in there for Philadelphia. 2 key players for sure. When you talk about Seattle secondary, Earl Thomas and Deshaun Shedd.
First penalty on Seattle this half. Makes it a 1st and 5 with 5:42 remaining. There's Wentz. Boy, that got away from him. Ertz was open.
Yeah, no, it's a couple times, and ball did. Don't know if it slips out of his hand or was he trying to drop it in there. Yeah, I think he's just trying to throw it soft, and he knows it when he lets it go. Oh, I know that feeling. Throw it, and you throw it, and you drop it. But this time, just overthrows him.
Hands it off. Smallwood shoved back, got maybe within a yard. Wentz on the season completing 65% of his passes, but today he's under 50%. Play. Smallwood is denied by Wagner.
What a hit by Bobby Wagner. 54. Top of screen, just squares him up and perfect form tackling. You know, you talk about Wentz, so just one of the things, Philadelphia, you're going to play a lot of games in the NFL where you got to win one-on-one battles, and they have not done that near enough outside today.
So it's 4th down. Needing 2. Gets it. And a little bit more down to the 10. Dorial Green Beckham with the catch.
Really good throw by Carson Wentz.
First and goal. Underneath, Smallwood. Doubled up by Terrell and Wright. Got an injured Seattle player. It's Moore. And as he gets some treatment, we'll take a break along with him.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by Subway. Try the classic Reuben, stacked with corned beef, limited time only. And by Verizon. Welcome to Verizon LTE Advanced, the next-gen network.
Demontre Moore was taken to the sideline, looked to be cramping up. 2nd and goal for Wentz and the Eagles inside 4 minutes remaining. They've driven 61 yards to this point. To the end zone, he's got a touchdown. Caught by Green Beckham.
Excellent job, Carson Wentz. Green Beckham goes to the back of the end zone, but it was the crossers underneath that opened up the throwing lane to him at the back of the end zone, and Carson Wentz, very relaxed that time, waited on it, and found the open man.
At 26-13, they're going to go for 2 here.
DeAndre Elliott trying to cover backup corner, but did you see Carson Wentz's eyes? He looked to the right, and when he turned, there was a space there to throw the football, which is the most important thing for a quarterback down inside the 10-yard line against Seattle.
And now with the chance to try to get this game to within 11, a field goal, a touchdown, and a 2 to tie. Here's the 2-point attempt, got a man open, and it's caught. And that's Aguilar with the 2-point catch. 26-15. 3:42 to go. Eagles have all their timeouts.
Yeah, that was a good drive by the Eagles offense. Tough drive.
First catch for Aguilar in this game. And Sherman on the coverage. By the way, just to update the Miami-Los Angeles Ram result. Remember, the Rams had a chance to move into 2nd in the Seattle division, the NFC West. The Dolphins come back to win that game to go to 6-4. So Jared Goff, the #1 pick in the draft, gets his first playing time, his first start, and threw for 134 yards in that game. No touchdowns, no picks, but comes away without the win. Meanwhile, the #2 pick, here Carson Wentz has just thrown a touchdown, his 2nd touchdown pass of this game.
Well, I'm sure Jared Goff, look, the Rams know they have a good defense. They'll be careful with their quarterback. Just like Philadelphia, they've done a great job, I think, so far this year with Carson Wentz.
Here's Sturgis. Looks the other way with the onside kick. And it is smothered up by Luke Wilson. Caleb Sturgis with a pretty soccer-style-like attempt there. He's got a brother, Nathan, who's a midfielder for the MLS Seattle Sounders.
Really well done, though. The onside kick, it has that crazy spin on it, and that's the one you want. Hard to recover, but
We're going to start as Thanksgiving approaches, and again, we'll be with everybody on Thanksgiving Day from Detroit, Minnesota, Detroit. We're now, the rest of the season, we're going to start talking more and more about projections, possible playoff scenarios, and all this kind of thing. But you start looking at Seattle, and you start thinking about Dallas as the two best in the NFC.
long way to go, but you're right. We always think ahead. That's what we do in TV, and you think about playoffs and how important every single game is.
Ooh, that was a dangerous play. Barely got the exchange, the handoff, because Cox was just there immediately. The handoff here to Boykin, the backup quarterback.
That was really just a tough assignment that time for Justin Britt.
Well,
to try to block him.
Here's the deal. Pope's injured. You got Procise injured in this game. So they bring Boykin in. They had Alex Collins inactive for the game.
Well, Boykin started out, if I'm not wrong, he started out as a wide receiver.
Played a lot of positions.
TCU.
Yeah,
and then,
TCU.
of course, had great success at quarterback.
You just wonder at this point of the game, all you need to do is try to run some clock. Where's Rawls? Now Wilson. Falls down right in front of Jenkins, and there's a timeout called. And the Eagles have one remaining. The holiday tradition again carries on. Football from Detroit. Sam Bradford and the Vikings take on Matthew Stafford and the Lions for first place in the NFC North. And it all begins with a special Thanksgiving edition of the NFL Today with JB and Tony and Bart, Coach Boomer. That's at noon Eastern time, Thanksgiving Day. Again, the Lions and the Vikings sit atop the division right now, tied at 6-4. And their first matchup was a beauty in Minnesota 2 weeks ago.
I actually watched this week. It was exciting. And hey, the two quarterbacks, Matthew Stafford is the king of the comeback, and there's no lead safe for him at QB.
3rd and 11. They brought Rawls back in for this play, even though he didn't get the handle. And the handle by Tukuafu.
Tukuafu, yeah.
His first carry of the year. Interesting series of plays there with 3.5 minutes to go. You get one carry out of the backup quarterback, then you get Wilson on a keep, and then you get the converted defensive lineman / goal line fullback with his first carry of the year, and Tukuafu.
Hey, Pete Carroll's looking at that clock. He can't wait for the game to end. He's trying to find a way to get this game over with. And
4th and 9, and the Eagles have no one drop back deep. Booth. Bounce it backwards. Not exactly what they were looking for. 31 yards. Downed at the 16 by Brandon Williams.
Jim, we talked about it. You know, the wide receivers struggled for Philadelphia that last drive. Now we got a couple guys missing, but watch Cam Chancellor watching Carson Wentz's eyes. He gets the interception. Then later in the game, watch Richard Sherman. He's looking through the second receiver, reads the quarterback, breaks off of it, knocks the football down. Something they're very good at watching the quarterback and reading him. But now, 2 defensive backs down. They got to find a way to stop Carson Wentz.
There's Wentz. Going to Ertz, and he is tackled in the field of play with a flag on the far sideline. KJ Wright tossing him down.
Illegal shift. Offense. All players did not get set prior to the snap. 5-yard penalty. Repeat first down.
Here's Wentz dropping back to the 3. Guns it across the middle for a first down to the 33. Green Beckham for 21.
It's a job. Obvious passing situations. Carson Wentz getting pass protection, so he gets that extra second to throw it down the field.
They leave underneath wide open for Smallwood, and he's out to the 50. Some of you just joining us now who watched the Patriots win at San Francisco. Jim Nance, Phil Simms, Tracy Wolfson here in Seattle. As we've got a Philadelphia player down, we've had a number of injuries in this game, including Ryan Matthews and Darren Sproles, running backs from the Eagles. A couple of running backs for Seattle as well, in C.J. Prosise and Troymaine Pope. Had a couple of defenders for the Seahawks go out, Shed and Earl Thomas. The Patriots winning that game, by the way, 30-17. Once the ankle here gets crushed and rolled up on Vaitai.
Got to remember, he's the backup tackle taking the place of Lane Johnson.
Doug Peterson out there on the field with his right tackle. For those of you expecting to see 60 Minutes, you're watching the NFL on CBS. The Eagles and the Seahawks. Our score here is 26-15 Seattle. 60 Minutes will be seen in its entirety after the game, except on the West Coast. And there's the Patriot final. Tom Brady in his first game ever in his hometown throws for 280 and 4 touchdowns. And Green Beckham with the catch near the 40. Down 2 scores in this game.
Yeah, not over. Yes,
No,
I'm looking. They're getting chunks in the plays. Green Beckham, nice job of just sealing off Jeremy Lane, using that big size.
They mark him outside the 40, second and a foot. He had an open player there.
Yep.
And over the head of Green Beckham.
It's something that Carson Wentz is going to have to correct during the offseason, is those type of throws. Just
the Eagles coming up. They've got to close it out 4 of their last 6 at home. Dallas the last week of the season, week 17. That picks up the first down and a whole lot more. That is Barner running it for about 10 with a flag out as well. And we're going to be at the 2-minute warning after we learn about the flag.
Pass interference. Number 18 offense. 10-yard penalty. Repeat third down. This is a 2-minute warning.
Green Beckham blocking before the football was thrown to the running back. Pass interference.
Right on CBS begins with 60 Minutes and Bruno Mars, plus why the U.S. women's soccer team is so upset. Followed by all new episodes NCIS Los Angeles, Madam Secretary Elementary. Tonight only CBS. 1:57 to go. Eagles out of timeouts. 3rd and 10 at midfield. Wentz chased, got it away, plus a flag.
Now what do? You take the penalty or you go forward on 4th down? Pete Carroll trying to decide.
3rd and 20 or 4th and
Holding.
10. He's going to
Number
pass.
71 offense. That penalty's declined. Result of the play, 4th down.
Yeah, I saw Pete Carroll go 4th down, so he wants to give him 1 shot instead of 2.
Doug Peterson, raised north of Seattle, used to attend all the Seahawks games as a kid. Back in the old Kingdome days. And that building would rock too. Wentz, they got to him. Pass ball's incomplete.
Yep, they did it. They weren't going to wait any longer. That time they blitzed both linebackers, KJ Wright, Bobby Wagner, both putting pressure. And then Cliff Averill off the corner hit Wentz's arm.
Yeah, look at him to know what to do here, Averill. Just kind of reaches out casually.
Yep.
And hits the elbow. That impacted the pass. And Seattle takes over, and the Seahawks are on their way to a 7-2-1 record. And Wentz, who threw for 136 in the 4th quarter, ends up with a 218 total, 2-2.
Yeah, Wentz is grabbing his right arm over there on the sideline.
By the way, in the booth right next to us, Phil, the great Merrill Reese calling this game. He has been the voice for them for some 40 years for the Eagles. And he's going into their Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
In a week.
Well deserved. Great voice.
Right there with Mike Quick.
Mike Quick, the
Howard
ex-wide
Espen down on the
receiver.
sideline. That is just what a incredible play-by-play announcer. Merrill Reese.
Well, the Eagles, I'll tell you this, boy, they fought it off today. They fought. Doug Peterson's got to be proud of his team. The injuries. They got the touchdown called back on the screen play, which could have changed. Could have changed the makeup of this game, but.
Well, 5-5 would be good enough for 2nd place if you were in the NFC West. But in the NFC East, that puts you at the bottom. At Dallas 9-1, Giants 7-3, Redskins going tonight against the Packers. And a big 3-game lead now for Seattle out west with 6 games to go. Going to be interesting to see what happens this week with all these injuries. Will the Seahawks be in the market for another running back?
Well, we'll find out.
Yep.
We'll see the severity of those injuries. But the good thing is they have a lot of weapons on the offensive side they can turn to. But Pope out, CJ Procise.
Plus, you got the Eagles going to have to address running back injury concerns as well.
Absolutely.
You know, with Matthews hurt, Sproles hurt. Seattle today, 439 total yards. That's their best of the season. And tops on the year, too, in rushing yards with 152. Baldwin, over 100, and throws a touchdown pass. Wilson, superb again. 272, touchdown throw, a touchdown catch. 26-15, Seahawks win it. Tonight, 60 Minutes, all new NCIS Los Angeles, Madam Secretary Elementary. For Phil and Tracy, Jim Nance saying so long from Seattle. You've been watching the NFL on CBS.